Hi, Lee Thurburn here again, and in this video we're going to show you how to create custom forms. An incredibly easy process, a lot of fun and very useful for your website. Once you log into your account, come down and click on either the custom forms box, or you can go up to CRM, open that section and click on Create Manage Custom Forms. Both take you to the same page, the Create Custom Form page. Here you have, by default, two different forms, one called Subscribe to our newsletter and the other Use this form to contact us. The Use this form to contact us is designed for you to simply copy the code, the short code, and here we go, copy it, and then you go to whatever form page you want to put it on. In this case, I have a page called Demo Forms, but this form, I'm going to go ahead and paste it. This form could be used on your Contact Us page in a WordPress website, and it works just automatically by default. All you have to do is install the WordPress plugin for Apricot Rocket, and it will work. Then you come over to the page where the Demo Forms has been installed, and we're waiting for the form to finish loading on the website. And now it's completed loading, so we'll go ahead and refresh this page, and we'll see the form show up under Demo Forms. And there it is. Now this form has not been set to any particular width, so it's taking pretty much the full width of the page, but you can easily adjust the width of a form. I'm going to show you how to do that by going to back to, well, actually Apricot Rocket. This is the page, the form that we're editing, so I'll click on Edit, and then we're going to come to Settings, and I'm going to put frame width, say 500, and we'll go ahead and set the width of the frame at 500, and then we'll come back over and we'll refresh this page, and you'll see that the form now is only 500 pixels wide instead of the full page width, and it looks much more normal. You also can see that all the text has been centered. You may not want all of the text centered, so you could come back over to the edit area, go to basic data for that form. You come down in the lower section on the basic data tab, and it says, well, let's see here, custom form display, submit, button text alignment, submit. Here we go, form text alignment, select, we'll go left, go ahead and submit that. And then if we go up here and click refresh, and we'll see that the alignment is now left justified instead of center justified, which in many cases makes a better looking form. Okay, so that's a quick little tutorial on how to edit one of the two default forms that exists in the system. So if I come back to the edit area and I click on Add Edit, that takes us back to the top level menu where you see the two forms, but let's now create a new form. So we're going to create a form, click on Create New Form, and let's give it a name, and we'll just call this My First Form, and we'll come down to the Submit button text area, and we'll just type the word Submit. Oops, I spell it correctly. And then we'll go ahead and click Save, and then you'll notice that over on the right-hand form you have your first form. It says My First Form. It's by default going to have an email and then a Submit button. Okay, so at this point now we have all of our edit our styling tabs across the top here, and on the left-hand side on the basic data we have some pre-text, post-text area. So I could say something like welcome to our form, and then if I save that, you'll notice that it shows up over here between the form header or the form title and the form body, and then I'll say thank you for using our form, and I'll save that, and then it'll show up at the bottom below the form body and above the Submit button. Okay, so now let's go to fields. Let's add a few fields. Adding fields is both very fun and very easy. Let's add a name. Let's add a first name. So I'll click Save. There's our first name. Let's go back and let's add a name. Let's add a last name. And there's your last name. Let's add a phone number. Choose a USA format, cell phone. Now we have a phone number. And let's add an address. So it's going to be a personal address. We'll do city or street. And then we'll come back and we'll do city, and then we'll do country and state, and finally zip code. Now we've added quite a few different fields to our form. If we want to make some of the fields required, we just check these boxes and it'll add required to it. Now, if we want to, we can play around with the labels. Come down a little on the left under label appearances. Currently the labels are set to be inside. If I want the labels to display above the form fields, I choose above, and then now you'll see the labels are displayed above. If I want to have the labels displayed to the left side, I need to tell the system how much sort of columnar width I need to align. So now we have the labels displayed to the left side. So now we have a basic form with some fields in it, and let's go deal with our colors. So we'll go to the color picker, and let's set the name as a dark blue. I'm going to copy this dark blue code. Go ahead and click off and save. Now you'll see the name has changed to dark blue. And I'm going to go ahead and give this, I don't want a background color on the form in this particular case. Actually, I could give it a real light gray background. So now you'll see that the form has a light gray background. I'm going to give it a border of 1. That's a thickness of 1. Give the border the same color as the form name. I'm not going to change the form text either in the text color or the input text or the input background color. Actually, let me go ahead and do this. I'm going to go with a real light blue. Let's come down here, do a color picker, and do a real light blue. And so now the inside of the form fields, as you can see, is a light blue. Submit button name color. I'm going to make the submit button name white. So now you'll see that it's basically disappeared. But I'm making it white because I'm going to make the background color a dark blue to match the title. Now you can see that. Now notice how the border is exactly on the edges of the words. We need to put some padding there, which we'll do next. So if I want to have maybe I put a little borders around my fields, if I go ahead and paste that in, you'll see what this means. So the individual fields now have borders around them. In this color combination, and this is a little bit garish, but what I'm really trying to do is just show you how many different control points that you have. Now let's go to space styling, and we're just going to go ahead and go to padding for the bottom, left, and right sides. I'm going to go ahead and set the padding to 5 at each of these. There's an asterisk there I mistyped. So we'll set the padding, and you'll notice how we now have some space around. I'm also going to set the border radius. Notice how the corners of the border are square. I'm going to go ahead and set a border radius of 5, and you'll notice that that puts a little bit of a soft rounding on the corners. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead to font styling, and I'm going to select my font form name weight. Okay, so I'm going to go to bolder, save that, and you'll notice that the form name became bolder. Now I could play around with form name background colors, and I could do a variety of things that I'm not going to really worry about doing. I also could upload images. I'm just going to say, why don't you play around with that? That's a lot of fun. And then you have settings. Now forms have different heights, and when you paste a form on your web page, you're going to need to play around just a little bit with the form height, the frame height, to make sure that it looks right on your page. So I have a frame width of 500 by default and a frame height of 500, but I'm going to go ahead and say that this looks to me like it's about 700 pixels tall. Now you'll get a feel for this after you've played around with it a little bit. But at this point now I have done all my basic settings. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Add Edit, and you'll see here's my form, and I'm going to copy this form code. Just go ahead and copy it. And then I'm going to come over to the page where I want to place it, and I'm going to go ahead and place it where the form was that I was playing around with just a few minutes ago, the How Can We Help You form, the Contact Us form. So now we'll go over to the page where the form, the previous form, Contact Us form, was, and now we've replaced it with this new form that we've created called My First Form. And here it is. There's my first form placed on the page. Now, if you don't happen to give enough height to the form, you're going to see a vertical scroll bar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the form. I'm going to change the setting. I'm going to go back to the default of 500 because I know that's going to be too small. Now I've changed the frame height to 500. We're going to go look at the form and we're going to see what that's done. And so now you're going to see that inside the form there's a scroll bar that you have to scroll up and down. And the reason you have to scroll up and down is because we did not make the height of the frame in which the form is fitting tall enough. So because it's not tall enough for the entire form, you have to scroll up and down. Generally, you don't want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and make it 600. We're going to inch it up just a little bit, make it 600, come back over here, and we'll update the page, and we'll see that we still have a scroll bar, but you don't have to scroll as much, just a little bit, to get to the bottom of the form. So obviously we're getting closer, so I'm going to go ahead and put it back to 700, which was my first guess, and apparently was pretty much right on target. And now we update the form, and you'll see that the form actually fits on the page very nicely, and you can see the entire form without having to scroll an internal scroll bar. Now you can also notice how much space we have here between these fields. We actually can control that space by going back over to space styling, and we come down, it says margin bottom. So I'm going to put in a margin bottom of 1, and watch what happens over here. Notice how it tightens this up. So if I now come over and look at the form, it has tightened that form up by quite a bit. So you have, like, again, quite a few controls on the form. And so since we've tightened it up so much, if you wanted to do that, we could probably come back in, play with our settings, maybe make this 600 and get a little bit less vertical space and still have the form fit without a scroll bar. So let's see if that will do it. And so with the 600, yes, it does. So it works quite well. So I just wanted to show you that you have a tremendous number of variables that you can control. Basic data fields, color styling, space styling, font styling, name styling, images, settings, and triggers. We're going to do a separate video on triggers and some of the other finer points on creating forms. But that'll take care of your initial custom form creation tutorial. Thanks.